I would like to invite all participants to the last sessions of Q&A sessions. And I would like to thank you all participants for the interested topic and your hard work today. The first questions for every for all speaker about the having multiple party involved in the projects in faculty, student, or external organization. What are some of difficult you will meet or you will face in during the equations or the when you resolving? Who can answer first? Professor Komsan. I stand first.
Yeah, I think I saw the question. Thank you so much for that question. Appears on the chat. I think it's quite interesting in a way, and maybe my project that should be doing with the French school. Actually, the stakeholders or the agent that we deal with, it's not as big as a real sort of a situation like you mentioned earlier with the local government, something like that. So we deal with basically a community, and I think the problem that we found is just the way that we deal with the temple, and how we're gonna approach the monk, and sometimes they're not there, and sometimes the local community, they actually have to listen to the decision of the monk, the main abbot himself. So I think it is just maybe the social order, perhaps, that we need to elude a little bit, that how we're gonna, as a person who going to the community, not to sort of create this sort of fragmentation, and then understand the social politics behind that, and then we can approach to the people quite rightly. But apart from the local government, we haven't done anything much apart from the Extreme Orient, the EFEO, which is it's happening within the area. So we have to talk about the French Institute and then the French embassy to allow us to go and then use the facility. But apart from that, I think we don't have much problem. Only just the temple that creates some sort of difficulty for us to do. And lastly is to praise is the way that actually the local people, the neighborhood developer who live within the area, they really love to see us. They really love to let us. Us mean the students. I can see, because of the community is quite sort of 200 years old, no? So there's so many elderly living within the old house. So all the over 60 or elderly people, they saw young kids, the student, just visit their house and talk to them. Some of them, they spend the whole day talking with them, and then come back with a lot of presents, foods, and everything. So it's kind of like making friends, and then get to know them quite well. And some of them, they still have pen pals writing to each other as well. So I think it's more like an opportunity rather than just a problem in my time as a person who organized it.
Yeah, maybe I could share my perspective. The question about having multiple parties involved. So that's why I said it's really important to plan in advance and to manage the expectations. So if somebody approached me, said, oh, can you do some, your student do some project with us? Or we approach them to say, could you let our student do some project? Then I would tell them, okay, this is what my student can do, and this is what my student cannot do. And we only have 13 weeks. By the end of 13 weeks, this is what I think we can deliver to you. So is that all right with you? So right in the beginning, before we start, right, we already have a common understanding of what to expect. So that already helps solve the problems along the way. Yeah. Yeah, so far I'm quite lucky. I think for the local project, I don't have a big issue. Actually, it was the overseas voluntary project, design and build, because we can't stay there for a long time, right? So we just fly in and maybe stay 3 weeks. And usually that one is more problems to resolve on the site, because in between we are so far away, and we just communicate by email or something. And then when we arrive, maybe a lot of things are not ready, the materials are not there, and so on. But for the one I showed you so far in today's lecture, I'm quite blessed. There's not like a big problems. Yeah.
Thank you too much. Professor Stan.
Yes, I think two questions about the multiple party and about difficult about the execution. So the first one, for my project, I think a lot of party from the government. For example, the Ministry of the Agriculture, Ministry of the Culture, Marine Department, allowed 16, I think 16 party, because they have to sign MOU to work with for this community, and because of the CODI, they work under the Ministry of the Social Department and Human Security, so that connect between the party work under the government. So, and then about I think it's difficult how to work with this community. For me, that is I think the first one is meeting. how to ask them to come to the first meeting. 127 houses, there are 100 people to join the meeting at the first time. That is very, very, very difficult, and be a lot of meeting almost every month. And also the workshop, as you can see, the workshop, my workshop, just 40 participants, around 40%, 30-40% that attend the workshop. That I think that is quite difficult if you ask them to attend the workshop. And then because of you have to clear the purpose in the workshop and the project, what is the benefit for the people, not benefit for the CODI or researcher. You have to say benefit for them. And then when we do the workshop, for people, the more meeting, the more boring. The more boring. But they will say, I have to go to work, I have to go to market, because many of them are low-income people, not the rich, low income. They have to work 7 days. And then we have to fix time. For example, if in this meeting, we have to fix time. We have, for example, just 2 hours. 2 hours is 2 hours. That is good for them. And then they can go to work. And then it's clear purpose and also focus group. When we set the meeting, we have to focus group, for example, just 10, we need just 10, or we need just representative of the community. We have the 13 representative. That is the kind of head of the community to come to meeting, just only representative. Or when I start repairing and rebuilding the house, we focus just only the 20 craftsmen and meeting and organize a meeting with the craftsmen. Just, I would say, just first focus group when we do the meeting. And if you need to meet the whole community, that is, I think that 2-3 months time, that's enough. Every month they cannot, they stay boring. And then we usually, so just I think 30%, 40%, probably 20% attend the meeting. As mentioned, the more meeting, the more boring for people. That's it. I think
so,
that is
yeah, I think, yes, meeting is difficult. Workshops also, it's very difficult for people to commit the time because they're all volunteers, right? So the exercise I show you called pop-up is what the students do is they set up like a table or stall somewhere, a very busy path, and somebody walk by, you just grab them for 10 or 15 minutes and ask them very quick, short questions to get their views and collect information. So in that sense, 2 hours, we may collect like 200 people. But that is just the initial stage. So with all that data collection, then you can decide how you want to frame your focus group meeting or how you want to frame your work design or ideas workshop so that the workshop can be more productive. Yeah.
I think another one to protect Professor Tan talking. I think another one is that we engage them. I think it's very difficult if you set up the scene and then ask them to come to you. Maybe you have to go to them. So that's why I think the way of measurement that we done for the case of Woodline is just the way that we approach them to their house. So that you interview them, you talk to them, you spend time with them. So I think maybe if you're breaking down, it just might be interesting. But I found the same problem as well when we set the venue and then we ask them to come and join us, they're always like, "Oh, I have to work. I need to earn some more money." Exactly the same like what you said.
Yes, that I did. The first my workshop that I used the house to be the place of the workshop. Yeah, the workshop in the house. Yeah, in person house, and I asked around the house, the people who live around to come to attend the workshop. That's a kind of the focus to workshop. Yeah.
Yeah, I think related to Dr. Eva Wani's question in the chat box, right? About this, how you get people to come. In my case, I found it's very important. You have to work with the, in Singapore's case, we work with the resident committee, because there's like a resident committee with a chairperson, or you find the person, the informal leader in the community who has a lot of friends. Once you talk to her and she understands or she's excited about it, then she will bring a lot of people. So usually that's the important thing of trying to prepare and find out, right? That's what I meant by identifying a champion on the ground. So the champion may not be an official title person. Sometimes maybe the official chairman is not doing anything, actually not so good. So you must find the one who has a lot of connection, who is a friend with many people. Yeah.
And I think it's we meeting again here, and we can continue the connections together, like a workshop in the next chapter. And I think I have other questions from Professor Tang about the what were the key difference your experience during the pandemic, the characteristic in-person participatory format and other online one. What do you think?
Okay, so the example I show you for the NUS campus and the Cambridge Road one. So NUS campus, the audience, the participants are staff and students, so they are more IT savvy. And I think the online one works well. They are so familiar, and they find it quite fun, like, oh, I can use this whiteboard to say I want to put the chair there, I would like a mural here. So for that, I think the online works well, but the energy level is different. In a face-to-face, you can feel the energy, and then people get excited, they are chatting, they're talking. And then one important thing different is in the in-person workshop, you can network and you can make more friends and make more neighbors. Like the problem with this conference is we can't network, right? During tea break, we cannot talk to each other, cannot find out more about each other, and then cannot make a new connection. More difficult in this virtual platform to make a connection. So that's what I found. The benefit for the user end is not so much, but for the people IT literate, the result we get is quite the same as in person. But for the housing one, only people who know how to use this Zoom and platform. So we are only reaching out to a certain demographic group. So that's the disadvantage of using the online. You cannot reach a group like the seniors who doesn't know or doesn't like to use Zoom or like, video chat. Yeah.
It's quite difficult to discuss participant in online and offline together. I think so. And next person asks Professor Tang again about because he do the projects and interventions, informal settlements, bottom up approach. Sometimes in participant is not not so many community member. How did you resolve the problem of community representativeness?
This is the one I mentioned that I was referring to a question of trying to find the chairperson or find a person who is the champion on the ground who knows a lot of people. But in terms of like what Professor Liu said in the morning, right, about the minority have no voice. So that one will be, you need to make a lot more effort. You have to, like maybe what Professor Comson do, you have to go to their house, you have to talk to them, you have to invite them. And then you have to give incentives, like here, because we partner some agency, government agency, so not half government agency, they were able to give funding, so we can like give out some voucher, some goodies to attract people. Like if you come for the workshop, you can get a $10 food voucher to buy in the supermarket or something. So they get some slight monetary incentive to come and participate. Yeah, unfortunately, but yeah, some monetary incentive does work.
Thank you so much. And for all question, how do you prepare your student to let go their designer a goal and listen the voice from community when they attempt to the design? What do you think? To all participants, what do you think?
Well, yeah, for maybe I go first. I think the ego-centric of the students always, I think we all teacher knows that the young, they always go for it. I think in my experience, we create every evening roundtable. So students will come with us, and then they tell us what they found, something like that. So I think that should be interesting way. So that's why I think because we're meeting them every day, so maybe the ego just kind of like a little bit down a little bit, because they tell us what they discover every day. We haven't yet asked them what to do, so they need to be part of the community first and what they found. So I think maybe it's kind of like embedding a little bit of their knowledge. So I think that's how we start to do so. And but before that, they did a lot of research on in the library, online, whatsoever. So they know quite a lot. I think it's a process of learning, and how they discover more. Then it's the egocentric just reduce more, because they know the difficulty, they know the conditions, they know the problems that they need to fix it. So that's why it's come together.
And how about
Okay, I think the module I showed you today is not so much about a design, right? It's about getting ideas, but the student did finally come up with some sketch proposal and show the residents. So that's where the students' ego gets stripped, because they will show something fancy and the resident will tell them, oh, this doesn't work. The residents are very frank, right? They'll tell you this doesn't work. This is like, waste of time or something, and then the resident will like suggest something. So I think that's one way to let the student just really face the music and listen and hear what the residents tell them. Yeah.
Yes, for me. So I think.
But that's before it's built. So there has to be some iteration process. That means there must be time for change to revise the design. Yeah.
Yes, for me, my student can learn from the voice of the community, because we work with the communities more than one, and all the projects that relating to a lot of people. That means a lot of the idea, and I think learning from the real people, the real need, that is reduce the egocentric of the designer. But student need is different from the people need or community need. Sometimes maybe the same. I think that learns from the voice of people, that is a good thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for all professors. I have to close my session because of break, but and we very nice discussions too much, and I learned too much about my in my situations and my research also. I would like that, and thank you for your work today. And for the next breaking, after break, we will come to panel discussions. Thank you very much.